السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. The next hadith is a subchapter باب فيما يقوله عند نومه واستيقاظه. The chapter on what you say when, or what he said when he would go to sleep and when he would wake up. And there's only one hadith in here. So عن حذيفة وأبي ذر رضي الله عنهما قال, they said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أوى إلى فراشه قال, when the Messenger of Allah used to retire to his bed at night, he used to say, bismika Allahumma amut l-lahi. In your name, O Allah, I die and I am given life again. وَإِذَا اسْتَيْقَظَ قَالَ, and when he would wake up, he would say, الْhamdu l-lahi ahyana ba'dama amatana ilaihi-nnushur. He would say, praise belongs to Allah who gave us life after giving us death, and to him is the final return. Rahu al-Bukhari. This hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari. So these two du'as, this is the strongest and most authentic narration about what to say when you go to sleep and what to say when you wake up. There's other narrations as well, and whichever one you say, it's fine. It comes in the chapter of fada'ilul a'mal, which means virtuous actions, and you don't always need to have the most authentic chain of narration to act upon that specific wording or that specific hadith. But here is one example. So the Messenger of Allah, he used to say when he would be going to sleep, in your name, O Allah, I die and I wake up. And the reason why he's saying I die, he's not dying. You don't know if you're going to die. So maybe that's part of it. But the main thing is, they say sleep is like death, in the sense that there's a commonality. You're completely unconscious. You're not moved, depending on how deep you are. Someone can come, talk around you. You don't feel anything. So it's almost like a form of being in a state of death. So the Messenger of Allah, he used that wording specifically. He says, oh Allah, I'm going into a state right now that basically my whole body is going to be like immobile. And I'm doing that, I'm going into that state that you're putting me into to recharge me, obviously. But I'm beginning that with your name, O Allah. Because we're supposed to begin everything that's of significance or importance with the name of Allah. So this is the way in which he said it. See, when you begin something with the name of Allah, it's not always exactly has to be the same way where you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, or you say Bismillah. There's many different ways to mention the name of Allah. And he says, and wa ahya, and I'm going to come back to life. Because when you wake up, since you were like almost in a state of death or unconsciousness, it's almost like waking up from the dead. And then when he would actually wake up, he would say, praise belongs to Allah who gave me life after giving me death, and we're going to go back to, and we're going to return back to Allah. So giving me life after giving me death, you're thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing you to wake up. There are many people, they go to sleep, they never wake up again. So this is something that oftentimes we don't even reflect upon. We don't think what a blessing it is to actually be able to wake up after being in a state of almost like something similar to death. This is number one. Number two is that when you start your morning with the remembrance of Allah, it sets your mood and your tone for the rest of the day. If you wake up to some heavy metal song, I don't know, people don't probably listen to heavy metal anymore. You wake up to like Drake or one of these pop artists or something like that. I mean, I don't even want to think of one right now. I don't want to mess up my morning. But you wake up to somebody like that, it messes up your tone for the day. If you wake up and the first thing you do, your alarm goes off, the first thing you do, you start scrolling through Instagram and TikTok, and you start watching really cheap entertainment. That's how you start your day. It's like your first meal of the day. Doctors say your first breakfast is called break fast, because you've been fasting, you've not been eating throughout the night. So the first thing you eat in the morning is going to determine if the first thing you eat in the morning is a can of Coke and a slice of cheesecake or something like that. the worst thing you could ever do. You can have that after breakfast or lunch or something like that. So you want to start your day right, and making the dua is a way of starting your day right. The last thing here is ilaihi-nnushur. Because Allah gave you life or gave you wakefulness after you were in like a state of death, a state of sleep, what is that similar to? It's similar to how when we all die, we're going to wake up one day and we're going to have to stand in front of Allah for everything that we did. The Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Day of Judgment. So here is being mentioned ilaihi-nnushur, because you just experience that as if you were in a state of death, and then Allah got you out of that, brought you out of that, and now you're awake again. Once we die, every single person is going to be resurrected to be judged on the Day of Judgment in front of Allah. So because of it's very appropriate. The Messenger of Allah is not just coming up with random stuff. Everything is connected. So because he witnessed and he noticed that the transition state is from death to life, where else does that happen? So he mentioned ilaihi-nnushur, and to Allah is the return, meaning we are going to have to be in another situation that is similar to this. And he reminds himself, we remind ourselves when we say something like that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be among the people who constantly remember Allah when we sleep, remember Allah when we wake up. Ameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum.